Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Uh, Episode 3 of Road to Medical School. So, uh, classes started a bit. Doing pretty good so far. Classes are pretty easy. And that lets me have a lot of time to basically do a lot of self-studying. Trying to study biology a little bit. So when I actually decide to take the biology course, uh, like an actual class, it'll be a lot easier because these type of classes have a tendency where the professor will kind of just start to ramble on and read off the textbook and just like PowerPoint you to death, and it makes it really hard to concentrate. So, see, one of the best ways about this class is that you kind of have to teach yourself a little bit, do a little self-study. Saves me a lot of AP classes if you ever taken any of those. So I'll kind of go over some basic stuff about biology. So biology is the study of life, right? You gotta go over the properties of life, the scenes of biology, and how we classify life in biology. And of course, every single science study in the field of science always has to do with the scientific method. We should talk about that. And then we also go and talk about the chemical and relationships in biology with chemistry. I'm not gonna go too deep because it's very basic. We're only gonna cover the surface of it because if you look over it, I'm gonna go and do a little study for chemistry as well. So, the properties of life, growth and development, uh, energy metabolism, homeostasis, where you have try to keep a relatively controlled internal environment, adaptation, where organisms will try to adapt to their environment, like we see that with cactuses and how they try to store water, organization, reproduction, where it's how organisms generate offspring. It can even be done asexually or with two genders, male and female, with their gametes, and their DNA within it provides the blueprint of life, and of course the response to stimuli. So we're talk about go a little deeper into that. So we kind of got organization, how we go from a cell, a tiny cell, to a tissue, like a muscle tissue, heart tissue, and it goes to organ. For example, like the lungs, right? And then it goes into the organ system. We have for the lungs, it's part of the respiratory system, right? You have lungs, uh, trachea, the two lobes, and the diaphragm, right? And then it goes to the organism, right? Because the organism is made up of multiple organ systems, right? And then multiple organisms will make a uh, population. The population make access to that, and then you have multiple populations. You have a community of organisms, right? And then you have multiple communities that become an ecosystem, and then that ecosystem itself will become a biome, right? A biome, and then it automatically goes to the biosphere, aka our whole entire planet, whole green planet, right? Green planet. So, kind of how it goes, but we can also go way down from the cells. Cells also have their organelles, like their mitochondria and other stuff. There's animal and plant cells. Plant cells are different animal cells because they need cell walls, because if they don't have the cell wall, they won't be able to stay up straight and go to the sun, right? And below the molecules is molecules, right? And molecules goes down to atoms. And there's also quarks, but that's kind of go into the field of quantum physics and etc. I'm not really sure about that, but yeah. Yeah, and then it goes all the way from the organism to the biosphere. So the population is a group of individual of a single species that live in a specific area, right? A community is a bunch of organisms that live in a particular ecosystem. The ecosystem is consider all the living and non-living things in an area. So that includes like the rocks, the water, trees. Like if you, like a Amazon jungle rainforest would have like huge canopies of trees. Maybe the Amazon River goes on non-living things. And the biome would be like the entire rainforest, the entirety of it, or like a desert or a tundra, or like a temperate rainforest. And the biosphere is all the life on Earth, and all the places where it exists, where it's the ocean, the birds in the sky, desert, etc. Then we go on to information, which is our DNA, which is considered the blueprint of life. So I'm not gonna go too deep in this too, but I'll probably cover it later on. So DNA is the uh, the considered the single life, right? So it's also known as deoxyribonucleic acid, right? So it's kind of like a spectral helix shape like this a little bit. So those things. It's made up of nucleic acids. There's multiple types. Not go too deep in that. Just a couple of them. So it contains the genetic information for development, functioning, growth, and reproduction. So there's a lot of them, from DNA, mRNA, protein, to the process of transcription to translation, like to like one strand, like this, for example, would be mRNA, which is that's from DNA to mRNA, a transcription. And over here is proteins. That's how proteins are made, right? Proteins are made of amino acids. So, and then from mRNA to proteins, that'll be a translation, right? Okay, so, and then we got energy and matter. That's of course every city's energy is a fundamental characteristic of life. And of course we got interactions between different animals. So we got commensal relationship, where one organism benefits off another organism, right? Can't really think of any examples of that, I guess. And there's also a parasitic relationship. It's where one organism benefits when other one suffers. Like for example, like parasites, for example, they'll leech onto other life like tapeworms, go inside their body, eat your nutrients, lay eggs inside them, the animal is harmed. And then you got mutualistic, where both sides benefit. There's a lot of examples of this. Like for example, some birds will go and eat bugs on like water buffaloes and stuff like that in Africa, and it helps the water buffalo because it helps it get rid of bugs, and the bird will also benefit because it's free food. All right, so next step we have evolution. All life has evolved from a common ancestor, right? Every single one of the organisms on the planet is a modified descendant of a common ancestor. And now we're gonna talk about the how we classify life and the three domains of life. So life is compared by prokaryotes and eukaryotes, right? Prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Here it is. That. So we got prokaryotes, right? And eukaryotes. So prokaryotes are a bit different than eukaryotes. So eukaryotes, of course, the main one is that they have a nucleus, right? They have a nucleus. They have a nucleus. Oh God, what am I doing? Right. So they have a nucleus. Well, a prokaryote usually do not have a nucleus. They don't, and they have different cell walls than a eukaryote. And there's also Darwin's theory. I'm not gonna go too deep on that. But he wrote the book about species and stuff like that. And there's a scientific method which goes from observation to conclusion. So we observe something, then we come up with a question. Then that question turns into a hypothesis, which is like a educated guess. Then it turns into your experiment, where you have independent and dependent variables. and you have a control as well, something that stays relevant to the whole thing, and you also have a constant, and then you analyze your experiments, and you come with a conclusion, and that's where we have the series and laws, right? So a theory is something that is proposed, while a law is something that is constant, like it's true. Now, we're going to go into the more deeper part of it. We're going to talk about the chemical context of life. So, there's really four main themes about how chemistry relates to biology, like the four main basic ones. For example, everything is made of matter, right? Matter consists of the chemical elements in purest form, and when it gets combined, they're called compounds, right? Sorry. So the element's properties and the structure depends on its atoms. We go a little deeper in that. We go look at the periodic table. And the formation and function of molecules depend on chemical bonding between atoms. There's quite a bit of bonds, which we'll also talk about. And it's also talk about chemical reactions and how they break apart. There's like four main chemical reactions. So, alright, we're gonna talk about what's the. For example, we have elements. Like for example, it's talking about argon, is Ar, and then elements can also double bond too, right? You can also have bonds. Like for example, you have O, 2 oxygen. So this is O2. And then we have something called compound. For example, we have H2O, which is of course water. O, O, H2O. Right, and then you also have, what else you got here? You can go to C2, CO2, right? The same thing. C2O. And then let's say we have all of this combined. This would be considered a mixture because it has both elements right here and compounds right here. So that we call a mixture. Alright, now we're going to talk about what the atom is. So the atom consists of protons, neutrons, and electrons. So protons are positively charged, neutrons are neutral, and electrons are negatively charged. So an atom will generally look like this. We have the protons and neutrons in the middle, right? This would be the nucleus. And then you have the orbitals. So that's where you see these pictures from, right? These are the orbitals. Right? Little rings. And they'll have their electrons orbiting it like this, blah blah. And most outer shell of it are called valence electrons, right? Get rid of this real quick. Okay, so protons, you can abbreviate them to sometimes B plus. Neutrons will just be N. E will usually be abbreviated as E minus. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now we're gonna talk about the periodic table. So this is oxygen, for example, it's a very common one. So the atomic number is usually on the top. Chemical symbol, and then the name. Right, the name right here. Oxygen, and then we have the atomic mass, 15.9999. Oh no. But usually we just round it up to 16. But but periodic tables usually give you the exact amount because we're talking about something there are called isotopes, right? So atomic number is the number of protons. Right? E equals 8. It's the protons. And down here, the atomic mass. So atomic mass is the number of protons and neutrons. So see the 16 here, right? So you got the amount of neutrons has to be also 8, right? 8, 16. But the same, we don't know what electrons is, right? Electrons, we don't know what that is because there could be a variety of them, right? It could be 8, yeah, it could be 1, 2, 3. I don't know what the abundance of it is, but an isotope is an atom of the same elements, but they have a different mass number. This number is different. like this thing could be 17 instead. That's because they have a different amount of electrons, right? So you just know that isotopes always have a different amount of electrons, right? So that's about that. And go to talk about the periodic table. Periodic table, right? This thing right here. So you can see here one. This one's a little different because the one is the atomic number, is the mass number. Now we can do a little example. We're gonna grab sulfur, for example. Sulfur, right? Sulfur number of electrons. So I have 16 electrons as the sulfur has 16 as his mass number, so sorry about that, guys. Sulfur atomic number would be 16, right? 16. Like that. And the mass number is 32, so the number of neutrons is also that. So 32, right? So we're gonna draw something, a little diagram, right? Let's say that this is the little atoms, the protons, neutrons. Then you write the orbital shells, right? So there's 32 electrons. So the first ring always has 2. Let me make it smaller. First ring always has 2 electrons. 1, 2. The second shell, count from 4 always. 1, 2, 3. Can you make this in a different color actually? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you gotta do the octet rule, where it has to make 8 electrons each row. The other one was 2. Do the next ring, right? So how much you got for 10 here? Do more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 18 so far, right? Let's go another one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's we got so far. 3 times 24. 24 plus 2 is 26. This keeps going and make this way bigger. Okay. So that getting really big. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4. For the A 32, 35, 36. Okay, looks like we're a little overboard. So it only needs to be 32. So we can get rid of 4 of these. So we take an eraser. One, 2. So 1, 2, it's 10. 10 plus 16 is 26. 27, 8, 9, 30, 31, 32. Okay, that's enough. So we notice how here we don't have a complete set X, right? So usually when we want to connect this to another atom, for example, like hydrogen, it has to do the fit the octet rule, where it will basically steal an electron from this to basically create a pair, right? So when we want to go to S, sulfur and hydrogen together, and make you're going to make H2S, right? H2S. Because those combine together, you need another hydrogen atom like this, so you can steal an electron, right? Because it has to satisfy the octet rule. The outer ring always has to have 8 electrons. In the base, so there are quite a bit of exceptions. Like hydrogen would be an exception. if it was the one being connected, but it's not in this case, so it would be H2S in this case, right? We're gonna talk about bonds, okay? Bonds. So there is covalent bonds, and then there is ionic bonds. So quite different. Covalent bonds is a pair of atoms that share a pair of electrons, right? Ionic bonds are the valence electrons from one atom is lost to make it more, to move to a more electromagnetic atom. So it results in oppositely charged ions. Like we saw in the last one previously. Like for example, salt has a ionic bond, NaCl, and then covalent bonds is usually divided into two sections, right? You got this from non-polar and polar, right? Non-polar and polar. So I could talk about this a little bit. So it kind of boils down to the electronegativity, right? So non-polar is the atoms, they share the pair of electrons equally, right? So for that, the electronegativity will equals to less than 0.5 for the differences of these things, while the polar will have, it has to be greater than 0.5 and less than 1.7. Anything more than this would be considered an ionic. Anything more or less than this thing, this range, these limits, is considered an ionic, right? Or if it's anything less than this, it would be considered non-polar. Anything more than 1.7, of course, would be ionic. If you're taking, you'll be taking an atom, right? So an example of non-polar would be C and C, carbon, C2, like C and C, or C and H. Well, polar would be like stuff like carbon and oxygen, or carbon and fluorine, stuff like that. So let's go again. If you look at the electronegativity charts. Every number has its own electronegativity. So electronegativity is the measure of the atom ability to attract electrons. So look back here, you saw that carbon is 2.5. And here's carbon, again it's on 2.5. 2.5 minus 2.5 is 0, so it's less than 0.5, so it has to be non-polar, right? So we got carbon and hydrogen. Hydrogen, 2.1, 2.5. 2.5 minus 2.1, that's 0.4. That's still less than 0.5, so it's non-polar. But for polar, so for example, oxygen and carbon, 3.5, and then carbon, 2.5. That's a 1.0 difference, and that's it fits between this range right here, so it's polar. Right. So quite easy though. I'm not really sure if in class you have to memorize the electronegativity, but the rule of thumb is that as it goes, let me show you guys. The rule of thumb is that it starts to increase as you go this way, and it also increase as you go this way. So it ultimately piles up here, over here in this range. So you can kind of give yourself a little estimate if you don't remember this. So you just know that these numbers are usually like in the 3s and 2s, so these numbers are very low. So if you have a number here, for example, it'll be low. So like 4.13, 4.0 to 1, that's 3.0 difference. That's gotta be, like, that's not a covalent bond, a ionic bond, right? So we got that. Okay. Then we're gonna talk about the different types of intra and inter bonds. Right. So for example, we got H2O molecule, for example, like this. H2O. molecule, for example. And you got another H2O molecule. And let's say that's low attraction right here, right? This would be the attraction force. This would be called an interbonding, intermolecular bonding. And then intra, T-I-N-T-R-A, would be like this chemical bond, like this. That would be considered intra. It's inside the molecule. Inter is between the molecule, like this one right here, right? So covalent and ionic bonds will always be intra, right? Intra, always intra. And then you got inter would have this bond be also called a hydrogen bond. It's any attraction between hydrogen and any electronegative atom, right? So we got hydrogen molecule here and oxygen molecule over here. And there's also van der Waals, which is it's always present. It's when the atoms and molecules are very close together, like the atom. So, anyways, all was to say, we can also talk about the types of chemical reactions. So there's four main types. So we have synthesis. So you got like this turns into this. Then you got decomposition, where it breaks apart. Starts there, that, and then it breaks apart. Right, and then you got single replacement, where you just exchange the things, right? 1, 2, 3, and then that'd be 1, 3 plus 2, and then this also works with two things, for example, like that. If it's x and y, it can now be xx plus yy, something like that. Sorry. That would be called double replacement, right? And I'm going to talk about an example of this will be with photosynthesis. It's a very famous, not famous, a very well-known problem you see in biology. It's just, which will be, of course, with pretend this number is lower. That CO2 maybe plus 6H 2 O. Right, so you basically have carbon dioxide, hydrogen. It goes and gets turned into glucose and oxygen. This is photosynthesis, right? But this here we have a problem. Like, it turns into glucose. This is something you got to know 100%. Be C6H12O6. C6H12O6. You gotta know this. It's like super. You're gonna see a lot in biology, right? That. So, carbon dioxide, hydrogen, glucose, zinc. This we consider, a reaction, right? So you can see that they still have the same amount of atoms. For example, right here we have 6 carbon. We can count the amount of carbons we got here. So we got 6 carbon. This carbon. And here we got 12. So here 6 times 2 is 12. So we got 12 oxygen on this side. And here we got plus 6 oxygen. Right, 6 oxygen. Okay, so 6 with 12. 6 oxygen here. 6 oxygen here. And 6 times, and then hydrogen. How many hydrogen do you have? Oh, 6. You got 6 hydrogen. Okay, so look over here to this side. No, my bad. It's 12 hydrogen. God damn it. Okay, 12 hydrogen. Because we got this little tooth here. We can't forget that too. 6 times 2 is 12. No hydrogen. So let's count. Here we got 6 carbon, 12 hydrogen, and what's this? six oxygen, and 2 to 6, 12, right? So that 18. We're here 12, 6, 18. Still at the same amount. Same amount. Now you can also you can see a lot of problems, especially the chemistry side, where you have something like single sample like this. So we have the same thing as before, glucose 6 C6, H12, and O6, yeah, O6. And then you turn that into what? So we got blank C2 blank C2 H6 0 plus blank CO2. So what could this be? Oops. CO2. So for start, you gotta calculate the amount of atoms you have. So we have what? What do you got here? 6 carbon, 12 hydrogen, and of course 6 oxygen. So first thing to do, we can see that this thing is kind of isolated by itself. So we got 6 oxygen, so this thing could be a 3. So we know on this side we got 3C and 3 to 6 oxygen. But that can't work because we got a C right there. So we got to change that. So we try to change this over again. See how we're gonna do it. So okay, this side doesn't have hydrogen, so we can solve this right away. So what times 6 can you get 12? So that'd be 2, right? So we get 2 times C. So we get 2 of the C equals to 4C, 12, 6, 4, then O2, first we get 2. Okay, now we got that covered. How many more do we need left? We need 2 more carbon. We need 2 more carbon. We're good on. We're good on should be hydrogen. We're good on hydrogen, right? We're good on hydrogen, and right here we also need so what am I doing? Okay, so we 6. We still have 2O, so we need 4 more, right? 4 more. So we need 2 more, so 2C. Okay, so we just have to put that 2. Okay, 2, and 2. So now we got that solved. So we 2 times C, and 2C, and then O2. So 2 is 4, so we got 4. 4 plus 2, 6C, 6O, 6 oxygen. Like that, C. So everything looks good. Check, check, check. So if we solve this, it will now be 2C. That. Bam. There we go. And that's how you do it. Easy as that. So it kind of covers the very, very absolute, super basic, like tip of the surface chemistry and biology relationships. So you don't necessarily have to take about chemistry class before biology, but your high school class of chemistry should cover the basics of this. And right now I'm diving into more biology related stuff for my studies, but chemistry is still good to know because I need to know that for the MCAT, and that's what we'll be studying. So yeah, next time probably gonna go over more stuff on water, because water is a very essential part of life. Because one of the main defining factors that scientists use in order to find life on our planet is does it have water? Because water, you will eventually, I'll eventually study, figure out how water is important in life, but there's a lot of problems with water that makes it very safer for life. So I'll go over that next time. So yeah, today we kind of just went over the themes of biology, the properties of life, and of course how to classify that life, right? They went over the chemical context of life, matter, elements, compounds, mixtures, protons, neutrons, electrons. Cations, I forgot to mention that. Cations are positive, and anions are negatively charged ions. So a great way to remember that is cations is like a cat, and they have paws, so it sounds like positive. That's how I remember it. But yeah, that's pretty much what we got so far. And, oh yeah, chemical reactions, electronegativity, and knowing that photosynthesis is important. It's oxygen and water. No, water and carbon dioxide will make glucose and oxygen, C6H12O6. So yeah, and it's pretty good so far. We'll go on next time. So see you guys on the next video. Peace.